So welcome students. So in this question, you give an f of x is equal to root of 2 minus secant inverse x. You're asked to find the domain of this function. So how do you find the domain of this function? So first, within the square root you have 2 minus secant inverse x. So obviously 2 minus secant inverse x has to be greater than or equal to 0. That means secant inverse x has to be greater than or equal to 2. So this function is defined only if secant inverse x is less than or equal to 2. So let us draw the curve secant inverse x and let us see where secant inverse x is less than 2. So how does the graph of secant inverse x look like? I hope you know how the graph of secant inverse x look like. So the range of secant inverse x is 0 to pi, right? So you have a pi by 2 between. So you have 4 boxes, this is pi by 2. So within secant inverse x, only numbers greater than 1 and less than minus 1 can go. So this is forbidden for secant inverse x. So x cannot be minus 1 to 1. So now, if a number more than 1 goes, secant inverse x will be in the first quadrant. If a number less than minus 1, if a negative number goes inside secant inverse x, you get an angle in the second quadrant. So the graph is something like this, right? Graph is something like this. So this is 0, pi by 2 and pi. Now, I want my secant inverse x should be less than 2. So what is the value of 2? So the y value should be less than or equal to 2. As you go on y-axis, you get 0. Pi by 2 is nothing but 1.57. So 2 lies between 1.57 and 3.14. Pi is 3.14. 2 lies somewhere here. So if I draw a vertical line, if I draw a horizontal line, so this is the value of x. This is the value of x, where secant inverse x is equal to 2. So what is this x? This x is nothing but, correspond to this. This x is nothing but, x is such that secant inverse of x is equal to 2. That is, x is equal to secant 2, right? So this x is nothing but secant 2. And corresponding to this x, secant inverse will be equal to secant inverse of secant 2 equal to 2. So at this x, secant inverse of x is exactly equal to 2. On the left side of x, as you see, on the left side of x, the value of secant inverse x is less than 2. On the left side, the value of secant inverse is less than 2. And in the first quadrant, obviously the value of secant inverse x is less than 2. So what is the value of x which satisfies this inequation? So x can be greater than or equal to 1, which is okay. And if it is on the negative side, x can belong to minus infinity to which point? Secant 2. So on the negative side, x can go from minus infinity to secant 2. On the right hand side, it can go from 1 to infinity. So the domain is minus infinity comma secant 2 union 1 comma infinity. So that's the answer to this question. Thank you.